This is Samsung's cheapest 5G phone, the Galaxy A17 5G. It has the usual Samsung strengths and the same frustrating flaws they refuse to fix. The question is simple. Is the tiny price jump from the 4G model worth it for 5G? I'm going to give you a straight answer.
Make sure you smash that beautiful like button and let's start the review. The phone's design is simple like all Samsung phones, nothing flashy. The back is completely plain and the cameras are arranged in a traffic light shape. There's a small white frame wrapped around the cameras. The back is definitely plastic, but it's sturdy because Samsung says they've incorporated fiber into it, and this makes it durable while at the same time keeping the weight from getting too heavy. The back here is matte, not glossy, but it still picks up some fingerprints and dust, especially in the black color I have. The phone isn't too big in the hand, it's compact, it weighs 192 grams, and its thickness is 7.5 millimeters. And it's resistant to light water splashes, IP54. Samsung doesn't focus on water resistance certifications in the budget category, and they also don't focus on giant batteries like the Chinese companies. Samsung focuses on other specs that give the user a better usage experience. Bottom line, this phone design-wise is basically a copy of the 4G. The difference between them is that the 4G is slightly shinier and the 5G has the white frame around the camera lenses. Let's check out the screen. 6.7 inches Super AMOLED Full HD Plus with 90 Hz refresh rate. A screen with the old notch style with a slightly large bottom bezel. And I'm sure you're tired of this sentence because you've heard it in more than one video, because this is Samsung's usual screen in the budget category. You feel like Samsung has a million screens of this type that they put in many phones. And this is basically the same screen used in the A17 4G. You have to accept the screen's look if you're thinking about this phone, but the screen in terms of actual experience, it's good. Very good in terms of colors and watching videos and the enhanced color calibration that my eyes love. And you can also control the degree of screen color enhancement. These things, guys, we don't find in other phones. The color calibration here you won't find in other budget phones. But you need to know that the flickering of Samsung screens is a bit high, especially in the budget category. So if your eyes are sensitive to AMOLED screens, you'll have problems with almost all Samsung budget and mid-range phones. You'd have to go to Chinese brands. But if your eyes aren't sensitive, like mine, I don't think you'll have a problem. As for brightness under the sun, it's 800 nits, and the phone tries to push or boost the brightness more if it senses there's sun around you so you can see the screen acceptably. But I said it in a video before, anything less than 1000 nits means the brightness is modest. But I don't have a problem with the brightness boost here that makes the screen viewable reasonably under the sun. And it's just like the A17 4G normally if you've tried it. And the screen has Gorilla Glass Victus protection. Man, this is a respectable protection. You rarely find it in this category except in Samsung phones. Let's see the processor that's changed in this phone, the Exynos 1330, a 5nm processor, of course supporting 5th generation networks, with UFS 2.2 storage memory. When I took the phone out of the box here, I found it on Android 16, One UI 6.0, with a promise of 6 years of Android updates, the longest period as usual. And I want to tell you that this processor isn't new at all. This processor came out in 2023, and Samsung has used it in most of its budget phones that support 5G, something exactly like the MediaTek G99, which by the way came out in 2022, and Samsung uses it in most of its budget 4G phones. Let's see the benchmark program numbers for the Exynos 1330. First thing in Antutu, you'll find the score slightly higher in the 17 5G. We're now on Antutu 11. But if you go in and look at the score details, you'll find the CPU is slightly higher in the 5G than the 4G. But in the graphics performance, no, there's no difference. Okay, let's see Geekbench. We'll find that single core is slightly higher in the 5G than the 4G, and this translates to multi-core being slightly higher than the 4G. But again, in the graphics processor, there's no difference between them. In reality, the A17 5G's performance is acceptable. I won't say it's flying or the fastest phone in its category or anything like that. Its performance experience is very similar to the A17 4G that many people bought and know its performance. Maybe the slightly more active, slightly stronger processor on the 5G makes some apps feel faster on it or open faster, but it's not a wow difference, not the radical, fundamental difference I came to tell you about. Bottom line, the A17 4G is doing fine, and the A17 5G is doing fine, better by 1 or 2 degrees. As for heat, I found a lot of talk saying this phone burns hot just because of the word Isonos. Did you try the phone? No. I'm surprised. I tried the phone a lot. It doesn't really heat up much at all. Like, how did people say it heats up? The phone's cooling is very reasonable. You'll tell me, man, it's Isonos and it burns hot. I'll tell you it's Isonos, but it's budget Isonos, not mid-range Isonos that gives you strong performance in graphics performance, for example. No, the processor here is close to the G99 and doesn't heat up like it. To be honest, it heats up 1 degree or 1.5 degrees more than the G99 in the A17 4G, but this won't affect your usage experience at all, and it'll be very satisfying and very acceptable in the heat department. As for PUBG, it runs at 60 frames here, and the experience is smooth and fluid. I played on this phone for a while, didn't find any problems with it. So yeah, the answer is clear. Think about the A17 5G if your area has 5G networks and you want to use them, and you'll pay a small price difference, not big, and at the same time you'll get slightly higher performance in the processor. But if you want my advice and you want a mid-range Samsung phone that gives you a smooth and stable experience and slightly better graphics performance, I recommend the A26 or the M55, but you'll pay slightly more money. Okay, let's see competing phones from other companies that have processors and things in the same price range. You'll find G99, G100, G200, and also Snapdragon 685. So Chinese companies don't surpass the A17 5G in processor power. I think only 2 phones from memory might surpass the A17 5G in processor, the Infinix Note 50S and the Realme P1 Pro, a slightly old phone but probably still available in the market. The phone's fingerprint here is on the power button, and its performance is very good. The phone here has NFC and an extra mic for noise cancellation, and as usual, the always-on display feature is removed. You can turn it on with an external app. Its sound is mono, not stereo, and honestly, I wished Samsung would distinguish this phone and make it sound stereo, for example, so there'd be a clear difference between it and the 4G. But it was hard for them to do that because the A26 above it also has mono sound. It's loud and acceptable coming from one speaker, but of course this isn't the best sound experience you can get. As for the proximity sensor that locks the screen on your ear during calls, it's like all Samsung phones I've tested recently. Software, but working acceptably. I'd give it a score of 70 or 80%. And Wi-Fi networks, as usual, this phone, like Samsung budget phones, Galaxy A filters networks that are far from it. As for the battery, as usual, it's a 5,000 mAh battery. You've heard this 20-30 times before, like all Samsung phones. I don't know when Samsung will increase battery sizes a bit. The important thing is that battery performance here is good. It'll last you until the end of the day, 7 to 8 hours screen time. And if you're asking me about the battery difference between it and the A17 4G, the A17 4G is higher in battery by about 5%, for example, not more than that over the 5G. Not the difference I came to tell you about. And on the charging speed side, 25 watts, it charges approximately from 15 to 100% in around an hour and 15 minutes, a reasonable time. But what's not reasonable is that the box is empty. There are no accessories, no charger, no screen protector. You'll still have to buy all these things, and this is not nice. And I hope Samsung responds to our demands and adds a 25-watt charger so we can overlook and get past this flaw story we mention in almost every review.
Let's wrap up with the cameras. The phone here has a rear main camera, 50 megapixels, aperture f1.8 with optical stabilization, and is a wide-angle lens, 5 megapixels, aperture f2.2, and a last macro lens, just okay, 2 megapixels, and the selfie is 13 megapixels, aperture f2.0. The phone shoots portrait at 1x, nothing else in it, and it shoots videos through its camera software at full HD with the rear and front cameras, but I know the Exynos 1330 supports 4K recording, so I downloaded an app called Open Camera, and there are many apps like it available normally on the Play Store. I went into this app's settings and set video recording to 4K, and you'll find the phone very normally shoots 4K, and the resolution is fine. But of course, there won't be stabilization like the full HD quality. Let's see the camera experience on the A17 5G compared to the A17 4G. They have the same camera hardware, but will the processor difference make a difference in photo results?
Let's see. Let's start with people photos in the sun. I liked the A17 5G's cameras. Their processing is more calibrated and the white balance of the photos is more accurate, not overly yellow like the 4G. As for shooting in shade, the lighting is logical and normal, so it's hard to find a fundamental difference between them. Both are good and very close. Samsung phones in general are distinguished in photography. When the lighting decreases, the 5G processes photos better and fixes skin tones slightly more than the 4G, which has relatively pale faces and photo lighting. Also, the 5G's lighting is slightly higher. But still, the amount of detail in the photos isn't very high. And at night completely, when you turn on night mode, also the 5G I liked more. In a photo, its coloring is better, and it doesn't raise the shadows excessively like the 4G. As for regular photography in the sun, buildings, landscapes, cars, and all that, it's hard to differentiate between them. The two are brothers in a way you can't imagine. And this is also usual from Samsung in this category. But when the lighting decreases, you'll find the 5G captures better colors, more enhanced, and also doesn't raise the shadows in photos much, so the look of 5G photos at night is slightly better than 4G photos. But the radical difference is in the selfie. Even though they're the same lens, I found the A17 5G's selfie is very excellent, produces slightly better photos than the A17 4G. Bottom line, I feel like the 5G's selfie is the A26's selfie, the very good selfie. It has nothing to do with the A17 4G at all. So perfect. Bottom line, the A17 5G will give you a better selfie experience with a clear difference from the 4G, and also will give you better photo processing in some scenarios with the rear camera. I'll leave you now with video recording. Let's see now if there's a difference in video recording quality between the A17 5G and 4G. Both have the same main lens, yes, but there's a difference in processor. So is there a difference in video processing? Both, of course, have optical stabilization, recording now on Full HD. And like I told you, on the A17 5G, you can download any external app like Open Camera so you can record 4K video, because the processor itself supports 4K. And this is a bit difficult test in our dark street with the A17 5G and 4G. Is there a difference in video recording quality thanks to the Exynos processor, for example, in the 5G versus the G99 from MediaTek in the 4G? I see on the screen that the video on the A17 5G is slightly better, but not much. But let's also judge when we see both videos side by side on the same screen. As for selfie, no, I feel the A17 5G's selfie is slightly better than the A17 4G. Same lens, but the processor difference here makes a difference in the processing of video recording, whether photos or videos, as you're seeing now.
As for prices, 128 gigabytes and 6 gigabytes for $180, 256 gigabytes and 8 gigabytes for $195. All prices mentioned are approximate estimates, meant to give you a general idea. Please check local prices in your country for accuracy.
You can run 2 SIM cards or a SIM and memory card, and the phone doesn't support eSIM feature. Final opinion, the Galaxy A17 5G is a phone that has its pros and cons. Its advantages are summarized in 5G support, Samsung's excellent software with the longest update period of 6 years, a screen with nice colors and good protection, and cameras that are very reasonable in its price category. Its flaws are summarized in that its screen has an old-looking notch, large bottom bezel, its sound is mono, not stereo, and its box is empty. You'll still have to buy all its accessories. As usual, stupid, recurring flaws we've heard in more than one Samsung phone before. Okay, if you want to buy a budget Samsung phone and you're confused between the A17 4G and 5G,
the price difference between them is $30.
How do you choose? I'll tell you. If you have 5th generation networks working fast in your area and you want to try them, definitely stick with the A17 5G, and you'll get with it a slightly stronger processor and better cameras and photos and videos, especially the selfie as we saw. But if the 5G thing doesn't matter to you, then save money and get the A17 4G, totally normal. But I have my opinion. If you want the best experience from Samsung and increase the price a bit, then you should get the A26 and M55. These are the minimum 2 phones that will give you an experience within Samsung's interface, and you'll get all the features, and you'll get very good cameras, and you'll get an experience that won't bother you with anything. Phones you can't call budget, no, phones you'd call mid-range. And if you don't like Samsung at all, I don't know why you're watching this video, this is Samsung only, the other alternatives from competing companies that might surpass the A17 5G, especially in processor, are 2 phones with no third, the Infinix Note 50S and the Realme P1 Pro. God knows how long they'll stay available. And that's it. I've finished the video, finished all the talk I have. I want to thank you very much if you made it with me to this point. Make sure you hit that beautiful like button. Write me a comment right now and tell me your opinion on the Galaxy A17 5G. Do you see this phone as necessary, competitive, or not necessary? And make sure you've subscribed to us so you can see the review of the entire Xiaomi Note 15 family. I'm testing them now, but it's taking time. There are 4 phones, so one by one. So make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you see new videos right away as soon as they drop.